Well, hello everybody. Welcome to G Bear's Homesteading the Desert, this 23rd day of October 2018. We're looking at my trailer here, and you see I got some FRP adhesive on top, and underneath it I've got 3 sheets of FRP, and I've got 2 sheets of the 2-inch foam panels that are going to go for the ceiling in the bathroom. And the reason I only have 2 is because that's all they had left in stock at the Home Depot I was at. But right here, you see what it says right here on this FRP sheet? 50% off. I got a markdown on it because it has 2 little scalloped cuts in it right there. Not going to bother me much. I'm going to cut these off at 5 feet anyway, so I'll have a 3-foot section here with the 2 scallops in it that I'm not going to use here. I might end up putting that behind the sink in the kitchen to protect the walls there. The other 2 sheets are in fine shape. I had to pay full price for those. Now, the 2 foam pieces, they've got some of the foil missing and some little damaged little nicks in it here and there. He gave me 50% off on both of those too. So that was a real good score. I mean, that means I only paid for 1 panel because there's 50% off. So I've got 2 of them to get started. I've got enough to get the bathroom done, and that's going to be something I'm doing. And I'm sorry it's late here. It's dark out right now, and the reason for that is I had a couple of my neighbors come by, John and Letty, and they were the people that got the extra water from the delivery yesterday, and they came by to pay me for that. So that was nice of them, and we walked around and chatted and had a couple of beers, and or we had a beer each, and got some good conversations going. So just wanted to let you know that. And it's dark tonight, and we got a full moon rising over there in the sky. I'm not going to go around to show you that because I want to get this video taken care of so I can get my dinner going. All right, here inside you can see I put the corner bead around the windows, so I'm ready to tape and mud on there. I've got it around this side too, but I got my tripod set up here. I don't think I'm going to need it tonight. I did want to get started on part 1, or let's call it drywall sheetrock, drywall/sheetrock 101, the start of it all. So what you want to do here is you want to note that there are certain tools that you're going to need if you're going to do drywall and sheetrock. And some of those tools are going to be, we'll start with a screw gun. You don't have to use a screw gun unless you use a metal stud. You can't use nails. If you do use nails on wood, excuse me. Excuse me. If you do use nails, you got to use cup nails. There's special drywall cup nails, and they leave a hollow when you hit them in, so you can cover them over with mud. All of these have to be sunk just below the paper level so that when you put the mud on, it covers over the top of those. If they're sticking out any at all, when you go run your knife across there, you're going to find that it's going to hit that and cause a skip. Then you have to get your screw gun out and tighten it down a little tighter. All right. The other thing is drywall screws. Metal stud, I like to use the fine thread screws, and these are 1 1/4 because I'm using 1/2-inch drywall. If you're using 5/8 drywall, which is fire code for exterior walls, you're going to go to 1 5/8 on the screws. If you're using wood, you're going to use the coarse thread screws. On metal, I recommend using the fine thread. They grab better in the metal stud. All right, next, for cutting drywall, you need one thing. Let me get it out here. You need a utility knife. I have this one, which is a folding one that I carry with me all the time. Being a contractor handyman, I'm always using it. I'm never without it. So it always goes in my little side pocket there, and I keep that handy. You're going to need that for cutting drywall. Also, you'll need a T-square. As you can see, this goes down and it's got a T on the bottom. And it's measured out 4 foot long, And then it's got the increments on the side there to go out 16 inches on one side and 6 inches on the other side. And that makes cutting across a 4-foot piece from the seam downward very easily. You put the T against one side, it keeps it square. You run your knife along there. All you have to do is cut through the paper, and then you can break the drywall at that point and then use the knife to cut through the paper on the other side. That's simple for cutting drywall. This little T down here, I don't even know if they sell these anymore. I've had this one for years. And what this does, as you see, there's all these little holes in here. Well, each hole is set at a 1/8 inch increment for 24 inches. So you can actually set this on the edge of a piece of drywall when it's laying down to cut it, and then put the tip of your knife through the side, the hole, like say you want 6 inches is right where my thumb is. You'd stick the tip of it through there, and then you just slide this whole thing right along like that, and you just cut the paper down one side and then break the drywall and cut the other side. That makes things go fast. All right, some of the other tools you'll need. Multiple size knives. These are called knives, the drywall knives, or spatulas, or putty knives, whatever you want to call them. Now, here we start with a 2 inch, a 3 inch, a 4 inch, and a 6 inch. If you're just doing a small amount of work, you probably won't need all of that. This one is actually a scoop. And this is so when you have your drywall mud, I take it out of the box it comes in, and I put it into a bucket so I can seal it up at night and not get dried mud in it. Now this is round shaped, so you can scoop it out right up against the edge of the bucket and then put it into your mudding pan. Now they make these mudding pans out of different materials. I use stainless steel because we use them over and over and over again. I got rid of most of these when I retired, but I still keep one for myself anyway. But yeah, you do need a mudding pan. That makes things easy. And then your knives go up. And you got an 8 inch, a 10 inch, a 12 inch, and a 14 inch. That's for doing real super fine work. You don't need all of that. Drywall tape. Okay? And I'm going to do the technique in a second video. But right now we're just covering tools that you need for doing this. Okay. This is a sanding stick. This is a pivot head. And you see it stays flat on the wall, and you can rotate it and move it up and down. And you go across the seam like that when you're sanding, and you can keep a flat surface. This uses sanding screens or sandpaper. I prefer the sanding screens because when they get stuffed up with stuff, give them a little tap and you knock the dust out. And you keep on using them. All right. You can also use a small hand sander like this with some sandpaper on it, or a sanding screen cut down for it. And this is great for getting into little areas like around the window here. And they also have these little sanding sponges. And it's got a tapered end on it, so you can actually fit it right into a corner there and sand into the corners like so. And get those corners cleaned up. Or you can lay it flat and go across a large area like this. Remember, when you're sanding with stuff like this, you're going to get dust, so be prepared for dust. I mentioned my drywall sanding machine here. That's hooked up to a special vacuum cleaner that has a dust collector bag on the inside of it. So this really holds all of the dust down and keeps it in the right place. But that's $1,500 worth of machine. Most of you doing a little bit of drywall won't have any need to buy one of those. And like I said, I don't even know if they still rent those things, because the people that rented them didn't know how to use them. They messed them up, broke them. The stores, the rental places were spending a lot of time doing repairs on them. I think they quit renting them. All right. So knowing that, we got that all done. Let's see, what else is there? I think that pretty much covers everything that you're going to need for tools. putting corner bead on. Now this is one whole piece of corner bead, and I measure and I cut the corners at the right measurements. So you know how, say that's 22 and a half. So you got a 22 and a half. This one's 22 and 5/8. You got 22 and 5/8. 22 and a half, 22 and 5/8. You cut the same side of each one. You fold it at that point, and then you fit it into the window so it fits nice and tight. Now what I like to do is I use a small blade like this little 3-inch one, and I go up into the corner here and I give it a good hit, or even hit it with the palm of my hand on the back side, so I get the corners squared off into the drywall. That's so when you start taping these corners, it comes out very smooth and nice, so you don't have a lump in it. Also, you can use the same type of blade. If you have a lifted corner on one of these corners here, you put your blade on it like that, give it a hit with your palm of your hand, and you drive the corner into the drywall, countersink it into the drywall. You can see the marks here where I've done that. And that's so when you're putting your tape on, you don't have a bulge sticking out. Okay, that's a neat little trick that I showed you there. Coming around to the other side here, you can see I've got the same type of corner bead on here, and then I put it on the corners going from the ceiling all the way down to the floor, and that's all got to be taped. All right, that's about all for today. This is the one that you use the most, and this is called a taping knife. And you see that when I put it here, there's actually a hollow there in the center, and that's so you can put mud and tape. The tape that you use is this paper tape right here, and you put run mud across there. We'll show you technique later. You put mud across there, and then you embed the tape in there, and then you strike it out with that same taping knife, take all the excess mud off, put it back in your pan, move on to the next joint. And there's some pretty neat stuff about this tape. It's actually got a seam down the middle, and that's so you can fold it right there at that seam, as you can see. If I do this one-handed, okay, so now you've got a corner piece. So you can put this in right into the corner when you tape a corner on the drywall, like that corner over there. That'll run all the way down there with half and half of the tape folded in that method, and that'll tape the corners. We'll show that in technique later down the line. I just wanted to cover this part tonight because trying to do all of the drywall video all in one without covering tools that are needed first would be a long drawn out thing. All right, G Bear signing off.